and welcome to another episode of the Corgi Town USA podcast, a podcast for pets and their people. If you hear those borks in the background, we have our executive producer, Kat, joining us today, and she is healing with Digby. Digby is healing, and apparently he's healing quite well because he's talking to us, Kat.
He is apparently someone actually dared to ring the doorbell, and so he is healing very nicely. He ate a rock. And was throwing up all the regular stuff, and we gave it a little bit of time because he was eating grass, and cats and dogs will eat grass and then throw up and then feel better. He didn't feel better. Emergency vet. They were able to do it endoscopically, and now he is home and healing and as loud as ever.
Yes. So anyone listening, watching, if you're new here, hi, I'm Candy. I'm owner of Corgi Town USA. In my lap is Chuckles, our spokescorg. I have Booger, who normally is not mischievous, but is wanting to get into things tonight. So I don't know. She's
and Digby isn't even there. We're not even there with you because she usually gets in trouble with Digby.
I know. And Mortimer's here hopping around studio, and then Hammer, my poor little DM corgi, is enjoying the quiet in the other room. But we are here for you every Thursday, a podcast for pets and their people. And yes, our dearest Digby, member of the Corgi committee, did spend an overnight in the hospital getting a rock taken out of his stomach because despite our most fastidious efforts to keep our babies safe, they still tend to find danger. So
yes, indeed.
But we are glad that he is on the mend and that he's very talkative. And as I clean corgi fur out of all my crevices, we have Jeri from Three Corgis joining us again today. She's been on our show before, a very tenured corgi mom. So we like to hear her take on things. We're all a little bit of an expert over time. This episode, we're going to talk about yeast and allergies.
Yeah.
And your corgi and your dog, how it affects many of our dear pets, and she has a story to tell. So should we bring Jeri on and start the story?
Absolutely.
Okay. Jeri, welcome back.
Hi.
Aww,
Thank you for having us back.
Yeah, thanks for coming back on and making the time to join us. We always appreciate you and your voice and what you bring to our show. So we definitely appreciate it. Before we get really deep into what happened, let's talk about there have been some changes to your pack. Please catch up our listeners and our audience and tell us what's going on over there at Three Corgis.
Sure. So we lost Wolfgang in September to liver cancer. So I just want to tell everyone he was a lymphoma remission survivor of 2.5 years. And then he succumbed to a new cancer pretty rapidly. And our newest addition is Bonzo. We just got him. He was born December 3rd. So we got a new puppy to keep us back to 4 because we like to have lots of corgis, and he's in the blur in the background playing on the bed right now.
Well, if you don't already follow Three Corgis on Instagram, you should, because you get to see these precious little videos. We're so sorry to hear about Wolfgang. Yeah. Our hearts are with you. Thank you. We miss him too. But welcome, Bonzo. We're glad that he's there to help heal. And I love being a drummer. I love the name.
Yes, Bonzo, yep. So you get the reference. So cool.
Heck yeah, 100%. Well, do
you want to tell all the non-rock and roll people who listen to the show what the reference is?
Bonzo is John Bonham's nickname from Led Zeppelin. Angus was named after Angus Young from AC/DC.
AC, yeah.
Wolfgang, it just sounds like a rock name, but he was,
Well, Wolfgang is also Eddie Van Halen and Valerie Bertinelli's son.
Yes.
Playing bass in the band.
Right.
When we got him, he looked like a wolf. So we said Wolfgang.
Wolfgang. Yep.
So yeah, we try to stay with food. So people are like, oh, Wolfgang Puck. It's like, whatever, whatever you want to say. That's great.
Or
But yeah,
Wolfgang,
so we got
Amadeus,
Bonzo.
Mozart.
Yes, exactly. So we have Bonzo now. He is really good. I couldn't ask for a better little dog. And Wolfgang was kind of the welcomer of the pack. And so we were kind of concerned that he, Hammy is Hammy Bonham Osborne. That's his full name. He's a COVID puppy, so he wasn't socialized the way that all of our other pets were. So he gave him the side eye for quite a while. But Angus is actually wrestling with him on the bed right now in that little, you can see that right there. That's but yeah, so he's getting really comfortable with the guys right now. So we're happy.
Yeah, I love that. I love that there's harmony in the pack with the new baby.
Yeah. Totally.
I've introduced a couple of puppies to the older packs. I have Hammer, my DM Corgi, and he's just Mr. Chill, Mr. Cool. And before I lost my first Corgi, Lilo, is when I got Chuckles, so he could learn from the best dog in the world. And that went really well. And then Mortimer, who Cat calls my accidental pregnancy, wasn't planning on a puppy. It just kind of happened. But he did really well, and he really took under Chuckles' wing. So it's really fun to see how they kind of weave into the pack and how they accept or don't accept each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Well, we want to talk today about, you have some firsthand experience.
Oh my.
Talkative corgis. You have some firsthand experience with yeast and allergies, and that's kind of becoming a little bit of a widespread problem. I know allergies. Chuckles has had Cytopoint injections before, trying to control itching and things. So if you don't mind, kind of take us to this recent story and what you've dealt with and how you discovered this problem.
So Cupcake, who was on my lap, she suffered from probably the worst allergies I've ever seen on a dog, where they have welts all over their body. Their eyes are swollen, blackened, the muzzle's black. Paws were the color of like blood red. Her belly was crusted. It has they call it elephant skin. It literally it turns black, and it was awful. So after going through allergy tests, so we did the Varl Liquid Gold. That's a blood allergy test. It's not the online saliva test. So online saliva tests do not have accuracy. So we did 2 of them. They came back. They had it didn't say much. So we got this thing called Varl Liquid Gold, and basically we found out that she was allergic to pork, beef, duck, lamb, potatoes, all grass, pepper trees, and we had just moved, and we have a yard now and a pepper tree. So it was like everything. And then vets like to tell you the dogs are allergic to chicken. Like, most likely she's not allergic to chicken, but had cut out all chicken and was feeding her beef and pork. So basically we went through Cytopoint, we went through Apoquel, and we all know that Apoquel is not the best medication for dogs. It could
high risk, right?
High risk, and it's temporary, right?
Yeah.
So she got really
I can't help but laugh at all that frapping back there.
Yes.
What's crazy is I've been quiet this whole time before we started your show.
Oops.
So she got really sick one day, and I took her to the vet. It was a stomach bug. And they said, hey, you know what? Just give her a bland diet. So I said, okay, I'll give her rice and boiled turkey. Thank you.
We paused this broadcast to do some corgi momming.
Right.
you had noticed that when you got her home and you put her on you put her on a bland diet, that her symptoms went away.
Yes.
So
So
okay.
we put her on an elimination diet because the bland diet was working because she had a stomach bug. And from there, I started doing research and started reading more about, what is causing her allergies.
Yeah.
So I came across Cytopoint. Cytopoint worked, but then towards the end of the month, symptoms start coming back. Weepy eye, itchy. And and as this was going on, I was dealing with Wolfgang and his cancer. So I was reading a lot of articles on diet, and I came across some videos on yeast and food allergies, and that a lot of doctors, a lot of vets will diagnose a dog with allergies, but really there's a yeast issue. So
Interesting.
I then started checking off the box for yeast. It was itchy belly, hot spots, chewing on the paws, stinkiness, chronic ear infections. That's the one thing that I was like, oh, wait a minute. Because she always, every 6 months, she'd have goopy, gross ears.
Oh.
Right. And then, so they're like, your dog mostly has a yeast issue, not an allergy. And I then said, okay, started doing research on that. I found a company called Adored Beast. They have this product, a homeopathic product called Yeasty Beast. I bought it, and it's basically a yeast detox. And it's basically, you're going to starve your dog of all yeast food, which is sugar. So I put her on I put her on a kind of a keto diet. So it was just it was a keto dehydrated dog mix by Dr. Harvey with the ground turkey, because I knew for a fact she wasn't having a reaction to turkey. So literally in 2 weeks, her hot spots she had this huge hot spot on her back. It was like this big. It was just gross. I started shaving the hair around it, and then I started cleaning it out. And they tell you it gets worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
And today she has not been on Cytopoint. Her eyes, she is in recovery. I haven't had her on anything since October. And it's
remarkable.
February.
Yeah.
Remarkable. Yeah. Her skin on her belly is smooth. It's growing hair for the first time. She doesn't have any hot spots. Her eyes, for the first time in her entire life, she always had a tear that I always had to wipe away. Nothing. Yeah. And she doesn't stink. Her fur had like a greasiness to it in the summer. Nothing. She doesn't smell. Everything is awesome. And I'm crossing my fingers because I'm hoping like she's 14 and a half years old. So I'm hoping, the last I'm hoping she makes it to 15, but that she's more comfortable and she has more energy. She feels, she's basically, it was yeast.
It was yeast. Yeah.
Crazy.
So it sounds like she'll have to be on the supplement for the rest of her days then.
No, we're done. We're done.
Oh, so you detox. And even though you've completed the detox series, she's still she's still improving.
Yeah. So the philosophy is yeast it's like Candida, like us humans get Candida. It's everywhere. It's inside our bodies. Yep. The yeast die off. It basically, the yeast starts dying, and it starts to shed out of your body as toxins. That's why you get she got the hot spots. And once you get it out, then you go on a probiotics. Like all of us probably have our dogs on probiotics, But if you
Right.
have yeast, probiotics don't work. So now I have her on probiotics to kind of, that's the normal way to go. So they tell you on Adored Beast is probiotics can work, but if your dog has a yeast issue, it's not going to work. And the number one sign that your dog most likely has a yeast issue is if you've had a few ear infections, because the antibiotics kill off the good bacteria, etc. Yeah, there's videos on it, and I was very, very PTSD from Wolfgang and trying everything I could to keep him alive, that I was really nervous about this homeopathic treatment. And then it just turned out that it was really good for her. So she's had a vet appointment with blood tests, and all her signs are good for, I couldn't ask for anything, more. That's the journey.
Yeah.
That
It's
is
amazing. Awesome. It's the same in humans. So when we get a yeast infection, it's exactly the same. And, they say little kids, they get ear infections all the time. A lot of times it's a yeast infection. And, why are little kids getting yeast infections? Constant antibiotics. And we need the antibiotics. Don't get me wrong. We need the antibiotics sometimes. And then that's why they say take the yogurt so that you put the probiotics in. So it's a constant battle, with everything that's going on in your gut. And it's part of your immune system. It is absolutely part of your immune system. And so if you're putting your dog on antibiotics, or your kid, or yourself for that matter, make sure you take those probiotics and keep the balance. If the yeast gets out of whack, just like you said, Jeri, you've got to get it all cleaned out. And then the other problem is sugar. We all eat sugar. We eat too much sugar.
Alcohol, everything has sugar in it,
Everything.
I love sugar, unfortunately.
I know.
Me too.
Me too.
But I like that you said that about immune system, Kat. Yeah, you're right. And I have Hashimoto's disease, so I have to be careful with Candida, and you can get Candida overgrowth very carefully. But as we're talking about this, Jeri, I'm wondering if maybe trying the detox might help Booger. So Booger is a senior. She's a rescue. Yeah, she has so many systemic issues that we've been to several vet appointments, and no one can quite figure out what's going on with her, but it's systemic inflammation. And she's on a very, very limited diet because her poor GI system cannot handle anything. She was just in such bad shape when I got her. I feel like a lot of these things were fighting from being poorly bred, being poorly cared for early in her life. I didn't have her. I think she was stuck outside, didn't know, wasn't potty trained. Don't know what made her teeth black, but we had to have most of them removed. But she can't process much food. So all of my dogs are on a limited ingredient diet, because when I had Lilo, to what you were speaking of, doing the allergy tests, he got GI symptoms like that. He would have actually bloody diarrhea. It was pretty scary. And we did the panel. We did the very exhaustive panels trying to find out what was causing him to do this. And I was like, look at that. My dog is allergic to everything in dog food.
Yep.
And beef. Yeah. And I remember making the joke, what dog is allergic to beef? My dog is allergic to beef. But since then, I've had him. Right. Yeah. And since then I had him on the limited ingredient diet, and I had everybody on it to keep from cross-contamination. And then I added in vitamins. So like when Chuckles was a puppy, he was on the same adult limited ingredient dog food, but I consulted with the vet and had him on a multivitamin for puppies so that he was getting that nutrition that he needed. Yeah. But Booger's paws swell up. She doesn't leave him alone, but they swell up so much she actually can't go on walks because she can't walk very far, or they will be just so painful for her because of the swelling. And it's not the normal symptoms of some of the chronic paw problems that we know about. Right. So the vets have tested, and so we don't know what it is. I just know that she goes in a stroller when we go on walks because I don't want her to miss out. But she can't go on the long walks. So I'm very curious to see. I wonder if this would help her because she has an eyeball that is not producing tears. It produces the goop, but not the tears. And so now we have the special compounded eye drops that you get from the compounding pharmacy that can't be they can't be exposed to light, and you have to wash your hands after you have them, and you can't, it's just, yes. So I like that we're talking about this and how it relates to the immune system. And I hate that
Yeah.
you've gone through this, but I'm glad that you're sharing it with us.
Yeah.
And that being said, we know when you had with Wolfgang and what you went through with cancer in the first episodes last season, you had
Yeah.
talked about the diet changes and limiting
Yeah.
sugar intake because sugar
Yes.
was a cancer feeder.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
have you also altered her diet as well, or are you keeping the same and the detox is working along well with that?
She is on the same diet that Wolfgang was on because it happens to be the closest to a non-sugar, non-starch carb dehydrated mix. But I've added broccoli, blueberries, mushrooms. Like I'm on this adding whole foods kick right now. Because she's aging. And hopefully you guys do an episode on raw and the opinions of people on raw, because I'm a little scared of it. But
Right.
she, she's in the best shape that I can, that she can be. I am adding whole foods to her diet. I am adding, fermented mushrooms, vitamin C supplements for cancer. I'm trying to make sure that all of our dogs do not get cancer. It's when it happens, it's pretty intense, So I'm trying to do everything I can diet wise now. So and they get sardines. They get sardines too in their food.
Oh, sardines are so good for you.
Yeah.
That makes sense. They're gross. So
yeah, they're not the most delicious thing. And they have so many omegas and good fats and all sorts of nutrition.
Bones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really good. I mean, they're not delicious, and some people love them. Look at your dog food. Yeah, look at your dog food. Look at the dog treats that you're giving. Look at what you're eating yourself. We need to be healthy for our dogs, and our dogs, we want to keep healthy for us. The rice and the bread and the carbs and all that stuff, it just turns to sugar.
All my favorite things.
Sugar. Yeah, I know your favorite thing. And that sugar it feeds the yeast. It feeds the cancer. I know back when I had cancer, and I was debating chemotherapy or not, and my research showed absolutely not for the type of cancer that I had. If I had chosen chemo, there was I'm going to say experimental, but using half of the chemo drug and adding sugar to it, they found to be more effective, because once the drug went into you, the cancer's like, oh, go gimme, yummy, yummy. And they ate the sugar and took the chemo rather than the chemo just wandering around in your body.
Targeting.
Going, let's just kill everything. It was absolute targeting. Another thing they say about the digestive system and the stomach is that the stomach is your second brain. So that gut instinct and the gut feeling, you want to keep that nice and good and clear for you and for your pets.
In this country of super processed, super sugar added, corn added, wheat added type of food.
Potatoes,
yep,
all of it. Yeah. So I'm only at the beginning of this understanding of I don't want to say extreme, but super nutrition for dogs. There's a lot of people going to raw. I mean, we see it on Instagram all day, I'm a little scared. I'm a little scared of it.
Yeah.
And it's not for everyone, right? So I don't, I'm still kind of exploring this area, but I do feel better about adding, the food that I can, the broccoli, the sardines, things like that, add to her diet, to all their
Making it
diets.
nutritive, more nutritive.
Yeah. I
Sure.
think we're all so busy, and it's expensive to start buying these, delivery. Like, we do delivery, but it's really expensive,
It
Yeah.
is.
and not everybody wants a dog. We love them, and even cats. And then all of a sudden they get sick, and you're just like, it's unbelievable, the costs of when they're not healthy. It's crazy, But
Yeah.
I don't really know. I haven't formed an opinion on it. But as far as her allergies go, I talked to my vet. I let him know, like, hey, she's pretty much cured. I'd like
That's
to say that
awesome.
word, right? And he said, a lot of people believe that vets have the answer to everything, and they do not. And the pet owners need to take some responsibility to try to help the process, right? And if it weren't for these vets out there that know how to do videos and articulate, I would have never discovered yeast. I mean, I never even thought about it.
From your
Right?
independent research. Yeah, from independent research.
Yeah. And most of the time it's a shampoo, but that's, it's, if it's inside, you're just cleaning the outside and it comes back. So, it worked for us, may not work for everybody, but, hopefully she, lives the last years of her life without being, itching. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so. I'm crossing my fingers.
Yeah.
She's 14 and a half. So
yeah, she seems, it's great. Candy, I cannot wait until you try that with Booger.
I will for sure. I mean, like I said, she's already on she's on an even more limited diet than the boys are, because she can't even tolerate their food. But I will say something, audience, if you're listening, if you're viewing, let us know in the comments. Do you have experience with feeding raw food? What diet changes have you made to your dog that you've seen improvements? We want to hear from you, dog parents. Let us know. We want you to weigh in on this. But I will say this about kibble. Some are better and some are worse than others. But at the very brass tacks of it, kibble was not really made for your dog. It was made for humans' convenience.
Yes.
Most of us, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
If you look commercial dog food, if you kind of look back in history, and some of I don't want to call out any bad or good players, but you go back to Roy and Kirkland, and some of these very mass produced dog foods, it was made to say, okay, we consulted with these nutritionists and they put in these fortified minerals. We took byproducts of the food that we don't process, the gizzards and the side, meats and things that we're not putting in the human food source. And we're going to grind that up, and that's going to be a protein source for your dog. We're going to process it so it can have a long shelf life. And then we're going to fortify it with the vitamins and minerals that these nutritionists say dogs need. So if you look at it through that lens, I'm sure most of it's probably not great. It's sort of I mean, really, when you look at it, and folks, I'm not an expert. This is based on what I've read, what I know of history, and being a dog mom and seeing how they respond. I know mine all do better on the more limited ingredient. When they go to a party or something and somebody gives them a treat that's like a milk bone or one of the kind of commercially processed, they don't tolerate it well.
It comes out fast.
Yeah, they don't tolerate it well. And so I'm just saying, that's, if you look at history, kibble was made for human convenience. It wasn't really made for the health of the dog. It was considered. That's why it's fortified. But when you look at things that are fortified for us, the processed foods, the cereals, and we fortified it. That just basically means they took the food and made it where your body can digest it, sort of, and then added things that you are supposed to have. And I feel like that's kind of how most kibble is. Yeah. So if you look at it in those lenses, but I'm not shaming anyone for feeding kibble. I do feed kibble. I'm supposed to be a higher tier limited ingredient, but I do feed kibble, so no shame. I completely understand. We don't have time to be cooking full course meals for our dogs, and that's why we
No,
have it. So
no.
no shame at all. I don't mean that as a
Right.
negative. I just mean if you look at the history of it, it makes us consider a little bit more what we're feeding our dogs and how they're responding to it.
And you can also supplement. So,
Yeah.
I know this is a dog show and everybody knows I have cats
Yeah.
and, back, several months ago, so November 2022, Star-Lord didn't tinkle, and we rushed him to the vet, and he had a blockage. And it's because and male cats have inherent problems, and kibble doesn't allow cats to have the liquid, and they don't tend to drink. Like dogs tend to drink a lot of water,
Right.
cats don't. And then a week later, we had the same problem. And now all the cats get is chicken and sometimes a little rice.
Mhm.
After Digby's little adventure yesterday, he has to be on a very, bland diet for a while. Plus, Digby was on a diet. Um, Chicken. So the same chicken that we're giving the cats and the rice and beef. The cats, for whatever reason, don't like the beef. I don't know why. Weirdos. Not my children. And so he'll be on that bland diet for a bit. It'll be no time at all until we've got them all kind of on that chicken or beef diet and
Yeah.
just supplementing with the kibble a little bit. It just seems to do better. And, doing the supplementation, Jeri, you talk about the supplementation and everything. When Eric moved in with Wiggin, his dog, Wiggin, who was a competitive dog, agility, was just showing the signs of old age and arthritis, and he was 13 years old when we got together. Wiggin just turned 15 and recovered from a rattlesnake bite.
Mhm.
And jumps around and runs around like never before because we give him
Yeah.
supplements. In our case, it's glucosamine chondroitin and turmeric.
Oh,
Supplements
turmeric.
work.
Mhm.
Making sure that we're feeding our animals well works.
And
And
please,
Yeah.
as you listen, please consult with your vet or
absolutely.
nutritionist. We know what works for us, but you definitely want to consult your vet before adding anything without questioning. That's what we want to advise to you, dear listener, dear viewer. But for those not familiar, glucosamine with chondroitin is a joint supplement.
Yes.
So Hammer has degenerative myelopathy. So he also has some arthritis because a lot of the pain from DM comes from overcompensating with other muscles and other joints, trying to pull themselves and move in ways that are kind of unnatural. So he gets an injection that goes straight into his joints. And that's a very similar supplement to the glucosamine with chondroitin. And turmeric is for turmeric. Arizona. Sorry for the accent, but that is a supplement. That's a supplement that's supposed to lower inflammation. We use that for
Yes.
Hashimoto's as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Yep. And we use
I'm
it for
about to
like
make,
old people.
yeah, I'm about to make golden paste for Cupcake. I just found a recipe for it. But
And
yeah,
tell
I'm
us
gonna
what
add
golden paste is for those who don't know.
Oh yeah, golden paste is turmeric, coconut oil, and a little bit of pepper. But it's for inflammation,
Yes.
joints, etc. Right? Because inflammation of the joints is what arthritis is, right? So,
Well,
but yeah, I think. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, that's okay. Go ahead.
I'm going to continue to do research on how to improve their lives through diet, but do a lot of research. I'm not taking the word of one article. I spend hours reading stuff because one thing is they don't tell you how much you should feed the dog. They go, give her turmeric, and you're like, how much?
It's like Martha Stewart. A pinch. How much is a pinch?
A pinch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
thank you for
hopefully,
sharing that. Yeah,
sure.
thank you for sharing your story. And I like what you've said there. You know, it's the research of many, and that I think it's important to consider when you are studying anecdotes. This is anecdotal evidence. This is a handful of people that said
Right.
my dog did great with this. This really improved. This helped them. What we've learned specifically since I have a DM corgi, there are
Yeah.
therapies. You can't stop DM, but there are therapies. But no two dogs are the same when it comes to the therapies. Some do really well with laser, some do really well with acupuncture, and some don't respond at all. So, all
Yeah.
things considered, I would say the same thing applies here. Consult with your
Yeah.
vet. Take these sound like wonderful tools you can use. Definitely do the
Yep.
research. Jerry's done some of it for you and is kind enough to share it with us. But hopefully, it'll help some other pups out there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully, because it's expensive.
Yeah, I know. I wish things were more affordable. I feel like we all kind of sacrifice for our pups, you know,
Yeah,
so they can
Indeed.
have
I
a good life.
agree.
Yeah.
I
And
agree.
that's totally worth it, right? Little bit of sacrifice for tremendous return.
Oh yeah.
100%. It's totally worth it.
Well, I will share in the description box the link to the product that Jerry is talking about. So I'll have Jerry send that to me. But also, they have an online shop. So if you are not following Three Corgis on Instagram, you should. Lots of cuteness in that household and daily videos and photos that bring us much joy and will bring you joy as well. But there's also an online shop with a very, very cute, very awesome Corgi swag. So I will share that website in the description box as well, because most of us Corgi parents like the Corgi swag and everything's very reasonably priced, and you are supporting a small business. So we will share that as well.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate you taking the time to
Thank
share this
you.
with us. I think it's super helpful, and I'm going to heed some of your advice, and we're going to try this with Booger and see if it helps her too.
Awesome. That'd be great. And good luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And give your whole crew belly scritches for us.
Indeed. Yes.
All night.
right.
All night long.
Well, have a wonderful evening, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Alrighty, bye-bye. I'm gonna try it. I think it's what do we got to lose with poor Bug?
Exactly. Exactly.
She may not tolerate it with her, her belly. That's the biggest risk with her, because a lot of times when we try something, her belly revolts. But worth a shot if maybe it helps and we can find some things that sort of alleviate some of her suffering.
Yeah. And it's interesting that Jeri had mentioned that. I had been hearing something either in the car on the radio or some about, is your dog eating its paws? Is your dog doing this? Is your dog doing that? And, maybe it's yeast. And so, and I didn't pay much attention to it, but now even that Jeri is saying it, Digby is taken to chewing on his paws. So it may be something for me to look into with Digby as well.
Well, the same thing we know that if we, again, breaking it down to brass tacks, I'm no doctor or nutritionist, but if you consider that sugar is high inflammatory, anybody who ever has an inflammatory condition, the doctor will tell you slow down on your white things, your flours and your sugars and things like that. So it actually makes a lot of sense just in that context of
Exactly.
don't feed the yeast, don't feed the sugar. At the very least, you will probably have lower inflammation because you're not putting the sugar, which is high inflammatory, in your body. One would opine.
Yes. So what they say for us humans, eat whole foods, eat better, eat more nutritious, goes for our beloved pets as well. Not specifically what we're doing, and speak to your veterinarian about it. Eat more nutritious, eat less processed. And we're seeing these foods in the vet's office now, and
Yeah.
we're seeing them, at
The whole food
pet
movement.
stores.
Yeah, the whole food movement.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's something to it. We come back around. My mom used to say, once upon a time when we were poor and I was little and we were poor, you ate pasta and beans and, just very nutritious and poor foods. And
Which is
then,
what a lot of us are eating with inflation right now.
well,
Yeah.
and it came back around as being gourmet. I remember when I was a kid, we went to a restaurant and pasta fazool, it's an Italian dish, pasta and beans, was like, at that time it was like $25 for a pasta plate of pasta and beans. So it became very gourmet, and it's some of the best food that you can eat. So for us and for our pets, we just
I'd
stop
say
eating
have
the
your
junk
fun.
food.
Well, I'd say have your fun. Life is short. Eat the junk food, but moderation, right? It's what you do most of the time.
Exactly, moderation.
Yeah. So, well, we hope you enjoyed this broadcast. Again, please consult with your vet when adding anything to your
Always.
dog's diet and do the research independently as well to make sure you're making the best. But we are sharing an anecdotal story for you. That's Jeri, what she's gone through with her baby and her feeling better. And we hope that it's helpful. And again, I will share that product in the description box so you can check it out. I'm going to check it out. Sounds like it helped a lot. And we hope that you enjoyed listening to us. We do talk a lot, and so do our corgis here at Corgi Town, USA, where the corgis run the town. Candy and Chuckles here, along with the rest of the corgi committee.
And Cat and Digby. Oh, there's Digby. He's
Mischievous
back in
Digby.
his spot and feeling better.
Good.
Yay.
We're so glad that we got him past that. Goodness. But we're here for you every Thursday with a new episode, all things corgi and pet lifestyle. We'll see you next week.
Bye.